Now that you have the risk management, policies, and procedures modules under your belt, let's talk about a huge function of student organizations: hosting events. Events includes meetings, functions, and programs, but exclude expressive activity covered under the free speech and public assembly on campus grounds policy, and tabling covered under the solicitation, signs, and postings policy. The first major step in the process of hosting an event on campus is to submit an event application in OrgSync, which is available only to registered student orgs and accessible only to those members who have been given the appropriate permissions in your student org portal. Please note that any member wishing to submit an event app on behalf of a student org should watch this video and read the event app procedures, both of which are on the Student Activities webpage prior to submission. To submit an event app, go to your student org portal and click on Events in the portal menu. If you've been given the proper permissions, you'll see the blue Create Event button. The picture on the screen is a screenshot of the blue button that you'll click to begin the event app. The deadline to submit the event app depends on the level of risk assigned to the event. There are a variety of factors that can add risk to an event, including but not limited to things like outside guests or speakers, food or drink not provided by dining services, high attendance numbers, and certain types of activities planned to take place during the event. If the reserving department or student activities believes an element of a proposed event may increase the org's or university's liability or pose a hazard to people or property, the student org should submit the event app at least 15 business days prior to the requested event to ensure that there's time to complete the review process. Otherwise, the student org should submit the event app at least 5 business days prior to the requested event to ensure that there's time for the reviewing department to book the space. When thinking about the deadline, note that an event app is not considered submitted until after both the president and org advisor approve it in OrgSync. So if you complete the event app 15 business days out, but the president doesn't approve until 6 business days prior to the requested date, student activities likely won't be able to process it because it's considered submitted only 6 business days prior. As such, we strongly encourage you to do 2 things to ensure you don't miss the appropriate deadline. First, complete the event app earlier than 15 or 5 business day deadline to give the president and advisor time to approve it prior to the deadline. And 2, reach out to the president and advisor immediately after you complete the event app and ask them to review and approve. If they don't see the automatically generated email from OrgSync in their inbox, tell them to check their junk or clutter. When submitting an event app, student orgs must provide complete and accurate information about the event to ensure that it's being reviewed and approved by the proper campus entities. Failure to do so may subject the student and student org to disciplinary or administrative action. While we're at it, let's talk about some other helpful tips that'll save you time and effort and ensure that your event is properly reviewed from the beginning. The number 1 tip that's going to help prevent delays in review is for you to read all instructions carefully. Many issues we have with event apps would be solved if students paid a little more attention to the instructions and what the questions are asking. Whenever you see a little blue circle with an eye on it, click on it for more information. Pages 1 through 4 of the event app are controlled by OrgSync and include standard questions that student activities cannot edit. Of these pages, the one that's the most important is the first one, and that's for 2 reasons. First, the info on page 1 is once the event app is fully approved, what connects the calendar in OrgSync and what will appear on the calendar based on the event visibility preferences selected at the bottom of this page. Unfortunately, at this point of the event app, you won't have the confirmed date or dates, time, and location of your event, despite having to add the information here. All you can do now is add the desired logistics and realize that if you are confirmed for something different, you'll likely want to edit this page after the event app is fully approved so that the details are correct on your org's calendar. Second, the OrgSync calendar now feeds into the university calendar, calendar.unt.edu, to help promote your event. As such, it's very important that you have a good event title and description on page 1 so that students can find it easily. For example, don't call your event membership meeting because a lot of other student orgs are going to have events called membership meeting, and it won't stand out on the calendar amongst all of the other membership meetings. Instead, add your student org name to the event title. So ABC Club Membership Meeting. It's important to be flexible with your desired location, date, and/or time, as there are lots of entities vying for limited space on campus. So when you get to the space request page deeper in the event app, please select all of the spaces you'd be willing to hold your event in. On a subsequent page, you'll be able to indicate selected spaces in order of preference. If you're hosting a one-time event, when you get to the page that asks for event dates, please provide all 4 date options, because if your first choice space and/or date isn't available, reserving departments will move straight to the second choice options and so on. Without space and date options given in the event app, we'll have to deny it and send it back for editing whenever your first choice option isn't available. But if you provide as many options as allowed from the beginning, it'll save a lot of time and back and forth. Each event app tags the number of reviewers on campus depending on the information provided in the event app. It must be approved by the reviewers on each of the applicable levels before it can advance to the next. Note that you, as the member who completed the event app, can keep an eye on its progress throughout the levels. Assuming that you've not changed your profile settings in OrgSync, notifications about reviewer comments and approvals will be emailed to your my.unt.edu address. Additionally, you can view the progress in OrgSync. Find the event app in your user drawer under My Submissions and then Events. Now let's talk about the most common levels of review. Level 1. As mentioned previously, once the event app is completed, an email will be sent to the student org president and advisor for their review and approval. Level 3. If an event requires the reservation of space, an email will be sent to a representative of the reserving department for the potential space selected by the student org on the space request page of the event app. Based on the preferences listed on the space preferences page, the reserving department for the first choice space will review the request first. If the first choice space cannot accommodate, the request will move to the second choice space, and so on until a selected potential space can accommodate the request. If no requested potential space can accommodate the event app will be denied to allow the student org to make edits to event details, including the date, time, and/or potential space. For an event that will have food or drink not provided by dining services, which includes Verde catering and food to go, an email will be sent to Risk Management Services for their review and approval. Level 4, for events that have identified risk factors, an email will be sent to the Event Safety Committee or ESC chair for their review. We'll talk a little more about these factors and the ESC process in a bit. Final approval. Once an event app is approved by all voting reviewers, it will be reviewed by Student Activities. If there are no remaining questions, it will be fully approved or denied. As mentioned previously, once an event app is fully approved, the event is then added to the calendar in OrgSync. Anytime, and especially after an event app is fully approved, a student org is required to report any changes in event details to Student Activities via a comment in the submitted event app. For example, if the student org decides to invite a guest speaker to an upcoming event, even if the event app was submitted as a series/reoccurring event, if you add a DJ, food, or inflatable game to their event, if you're selling tickets or charging admission, or if you increase the anticipated attendance number, and the information was not in the original submission, the student org must report new details for additional review. Note that changes should be reported immediately, but at least 5 business days prior to the event. In some cases, changes may not be allowed to be approved by the appropriate reviewers before the event, in which case they're not allowed. There are certain types of changes like adding or changing potential spaces or dates or fixing the calendar details on page 1 of the event app that will require Student Activities to deny the event app and send it back to you to edit. When we deny it, you can find it in your user drawer in OrgSync under My Submissions and then Events. Unless Student Activities directs you to do otherwise, please do not submit a new event app from scratch as a way to change event details for an upcoming unapproved event app. In this case, editing the original submission is faster and easier for both you and all of the tagged reviewers. As mentioned previously in the risk management module, some event apps will be sent to ESC, which exists to help student orgs mitigate risk at their events. There are several factors that trigger a review by ESC, which include but are not limited to hazardous materials, physical activity, equipment rentals, alcohol, cash handling, attendance of 100 or more guests, and guest speakers. The ESC chair will review each event app to understand the scope of the event and the unique combination of risk factors presented. Events are generally categorized in one of 3 levels of risk: high, medium, and low. For high-risk events, ESC will meet with the student org during one of its regularly scheduled meeting times. It's important that the student org send a representative that has knowledge about the event details. For medium-risk events, the ESC chair or designee will have a conversation with the student org. Low-risk events will have no formal ESC intervention, although the ESC chair and/or other reviewers may ask clarifying questions and provide direction by adding comments in the event app. If at any point new or additional event details arise that increase the event's risk factors, the ESC chair may raise the risk level. Depending on how far in advance of the event these new or additional details arise, they may not be able to be approved prior to the event date and therefore will not be allowed. The originally approved details, however, may still continue. In reviewing an event, ESC may assign stipulations that the student org must meet in order to host the event and decrease the chance of injury, damage, and liability. For example, if the event is an outdoor concert that's expected attendance of 300 students and off-campus guests, and the student org is charging for admission, ESC will likely speak with the student org about the stipulations of needing police presence to purchase event insurance and using the university ticketing system. Failure to meet with ESC or the ESC chair or to respond to questions or directions, or failure to meet stipulations assigned to the event will result in the denial or postponement of the event. That sums up the procedures related to hosting events on campus. For additional information about the event app procedures and the Event Safety Committee, please visit Student Activities webpage. As a reminder, student and student org conduct that violates these procedures or any university policy will be addressed by the reserving department, student activities, and/or the dean of students office, and can result in disciplinary or administrative action, ranging from a warning or loss of the ability for the student org to host events on campus, all the way through suspension. Now you've got your event app submitted and you're ready to plan. There are a number of resources on the Student Activities webpage that can help you plan a successful and safe event, but we're also here to provide assistance if you need a little extra guidance. Please feel free to reach out to our office if you'd like to schedule a meeting to discuss an upcoming event. Now, a quick word about movies and other copyrighted media, as that's a request that we've seen grow significantly over the last few years. In order to show copyrighted media in a public space, like at a meeting, a student org must secure the public performance rights. The fact that a member has access to a streaming service like Netflix or Disney Plus, or owns or rents a DVD, does not grant the student org the rights to show it in a public venue. For more information about copyrighted media rights, check out our webpage to make sure that you're not violating copyright law. Now you've planned your event and it's finally here. As a reminder, in all spaces, but especially in classrooms, please be sure to clean up after the event. Remove all approved food and drink and excess trash like pizza boxes out of the room and place them in the nearest dumpster. Please do not move or take out furniture from the assigned space. Any furniture that you do move within the space, be sure to put back where you found it. Please do not tape or attach, even temporarily, anything to the walls. Be sure to regulate attendance numbers to ensure that you do not go over the assigned spaced fire capacity. Be sure to keep the noise at an appropriate level as to not disturb classes and other events around you, and be sure to have fun.